Deep inside the Florida Everglades, where the morning mist sits low across the water and the only sounds are frogs and distant birds, a research team arrived at a GPS coordinate they had been tracking for days. What they found stopped every one of them cold. A male Burmese python, nearly 13 feet long and built like a steel cable wrapped in muscle, was lying motionless on the ground. His head was completely gone, torn away. Pine needles scattered across his enormous body, like someone had tried to bury him in a hurry. This was no accident. Something had hunted one of the most powerful reptiles in North America, and it had done it deliberately. The scientists stared at each other in disbelief. If Burmese pythons were supposed to have no natural enemies in this ecosystem, then what on earth had just changed the rules? That is exactly what we are going to find out together today. Stay with Terra Factor as we uncover one of the most extraordinary ecological stories unfolding right now in the swamps of Florida. To understand why this moment was so shocking, you first need to understand just how completely Burmese pythons have taken over. These are not ordinary snakes. An adult Burmese python can stretch to 16 feet in length and weigh as much as 90 pounds. Their mouths open wide enough to swallow an entire deer whole, and their digestive systems are so powerful that after a single large meal, their heart physically expands by 40% just to generate enough blood flow to process the food. They move like a whisper through the sawgrass, barely creating a ripple, and they feel no urgency because in the Florida Everglades, nothing has been hunting them back. The story of how they arrived here is one of human carelessness on a massive scale. Through the 1970s and 1980s, Florida was the global capital of the exotic pet trade. Burmese pythons were enormously popular because as juveniles they are calm, beautifully patterned, and easy to handle. The problem is, they do not stay juveniles. When the snake that was once the size of a garden hose becomes longer than a car and heavier than a large man, most owners made a decision that would cost Florida dearly. They drove to the Everglades and released them. Then, in 1992, Hurricane Andrew tore through South Florida with Category 5 force, destroying a reptile breeding facility and releasing hundreds of additional animals in a single night. By the year 2000, scientists confirmed what many had feared. The pythons were not just surviving, they were breeding successfully in the wild. By 2010, conservative estimates put the population above 30,000 animals. Some scientists today believe the real number could be 10 times higher. No one can count them accurately because these animals are almost impossible to detect. They can remain motionless for weeks. Their coloring matches the ground perfectly, and they simply do not need to move very often. The ecological destruction they have caused is almost beyond comprehension. A landmark study documented a 90% collapse in the raccoon population across their range. Marsh rabbits essentially disappeared. Opossums declined by more than 99%. At least 24 species of native mammals and 47 species of birds have been recorded as python prey. Ground-nesting birds, foxes, and even deer are now found in their stomachs on a regular basis. And the consequences extend far beyond the animals themselves. The Everglades is the largest natural water filtration system in the entire United States, cleaning and supplying fresh water to more than 9 million people. When the food chain inside that system begins to collapse, the entire wetland ecosystem starts unraveling from the inside out. Florida has been fighting back. The Python Elimination Program, launched in 2017, brought together paid professional hunters and competitive removal events, offering prize money as high as $30,000. More than 14,000 pythons have been removed since the program began. But the math is brutal. Pythons reproduce faster than humans can locate them. A single female can lay up to 100 eggs in one clutch. And in the warm, food-rich environment of South Florida, more hatchlings survive here than in the python's native range in Southeast Asia. Now here is where we come back to that headless snake in the pine needles. The GPS tracking device attached to the python the researchers called Loki had gone silent. When they checked the trail camera footage from the area, they found their answer, and it was the last creature anyone expected. A bobcat, a wild cat that weighs between 20 and 30 pounds. A predator barely larger than a house cat had hunted, killed, and decapitated a full-grown Burmese python. The scientific community did not know how to respond. This was supposed to be impossible. If you are finding this story as astonishing as we are, right now is a great time to subscribe to Terra Factor and hit the notification bell so you never miss these deep dives into the moments where nature surprises everyone, including the experts. Bobcats are not animals most people associate with dramatic predatory feats. They are secretive, solitary, and generally prefer small prey like rabbits and squirrels. They weigh roughly a tenth of what an adult Burmese python weighs. Their hunting strategy relies on surprise and precision rather than raw power. And yet, camera trap footage began revealing something that forced ecologists to completely revise their assumptions. In 2021, at Big Cypress National Preserve, a trail camera documented a bobcat approaching an active python nest. It moved methodically, sniffing each egg, crushing some and chewing open others, then covering the destruction with grass. 3 days later, the same animal returned to the nest site and stood its ground against a female python weighing over 110 pounds. A python strike moves faster than a human eye can follow. One successful coil can kill a large animal in seconds, but the bobcat read every movement, repositioned constantly, and drove the python away from the nest. Scientists watching the footage described what they were seeing as behavioral evolution in compressed time. These animals were not following old instincts. They were developing new strategies in response to a new threat within a single generation. And bobcats are not working alone. American alligators, which have existed on this planet for 7 million years, have been recorded dragging pythons underwater in encounters that look like scenes from prehistoric Earth. While hatchling pythons and juveniles represent easy prey for alligators, full-grown adult pythons present a genuine contest. Multiple documented encounters show large alligators successfully subduing and consuming pythons over 10 feet long. The relationship between these two apex predators is fluid and violent in both directions, but what scientists have observed is that alligators are increasingly winning these encounters. Their jaws generate more bite force than virtually any living animal. Their patience in water is unmatched. And crucially, alligators have spent millions of years in this ecosystem, while pythons have spent decades. The alligator knows this terrain in a way the python never will. But nature's response to the python invasion extends even further underground. Scientists began noticing something strange in the genetic profile of pythons being caught in northern parts of their Florida range. DNA sequencing confirmed it. A small number of Florida pythons carry cold tolerance genes inherited from Bali pythons, a subspecies from a cooler mountain environment in Indonesia. These individuals can withstand temperatures that would quickly immobilize a standard Burmese python. A 2012 climate modeling study warned that if this trait continues to spread through the population, the potential range of Florida's python problem could extend north into Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina, reaching states that have no infrastructure or awareness to deal with an invasion of this scale. The biology of the snake itself is working against every effort to contain it geographically. Which brings us to the human side of this fight, and specifically to one person who has come to represent Florida's most aggressive and effective response. Donna Khalil grew up in the mangroves and humid margins of South Florida at a time when most children were frightened of what lived in the water and the grass. She was not. She studied tracks, learned the patterns of every animal in her backyard, and developed an instinct for reading the natural world that most trained biologists spend careers trying to build. When Florida launched its python elimination program and selected only 25 hunters from thousands of applicants, Donna was among them, and she was not there to prove a point. She was there because the swamp was her home and something was destroying it. In her first 3 months on the program, she and her team removed 163 pythons. The state made the program permanent almost immediately. Today, she has removed more than 1,000 animals by her own hands, a total no other hunter in the program comes close to matching. She modified her truck with a custom steel observation platform in the bed, standing high above the swamp surface for hours in the dark, scanning for the faint reflection of light off scales. When that moment comes, she says, you have 3 seconds to confirm what you are looking at, and 1 second to decide whether to move. A single hesitation means the python disappears. A wrong angle on the approach means teeth or coils. She carries the scars of dozens of bites across her arms and legs. She has been slammed into swamp water wrestling animals that outweigh her by 100 pounds. And when she comes home without a single catch after a 10-hour hunt, she goes back the next night. Florida's most recent strategy adds a biological dimension to the fight. The eastern indigo snake, the longest native snake species in North America, was once common across the southeast, but disappeared from large portions of its original range due to habitat loss and collection for the pet trade. These animals carry a natural immunity to the venom of other snake species and are known predators of virtually every other snake they encounter. Critically, they specialize in hunting juvenile pythons, the stage at which the invasive population is most vulnerable and where disrupting the cycle matters most. In early 2025, 42 eastern indigo snakes were released into longleaf pine habitat in Florida, where the species had been absent for decades. Within months, trail cameras confirmed that the animals had successfully reproduced in the wild. For researchers who have spent years watching the situation worsen, those images of young indigo, snakes alive and active in native Florida habitat, represented the first genuinely hopeful data point in a very long time. The fight is not over. It may not be over within our lifetimes. Burmese pythons are embedded in the Everglades at a depth that cannot be undone quickly or cleanly. But what the story of Loki revealed, that headless snake lying in the pine needles, is that nature does not simply accept a new order. Bobcats are learning. Alligators are fighting back. A new generation of hunters carries the knowledge of people like Donna Khalil into terrain that was being surrendered. And in the forests where indigo snakes are beginning to reproduce, the food web is quietly starting to push back. Florida has not solved its python problem, but the Everglades, That ancient, breathing, filtering system at the edge of the continent is showing the first signs that it knows how to adapt. What do you think comes next for Florida's ecosystem? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to keep following stories like this one, where science, nature, and human determination collide in ways nobody predicted, subscribe to Terra Factor right now. We have more stories coming that will leave you just as stunned as those researchers standing over Loki in the early morning mist of the Everglades.